Welcome to Manifesting Your Mission with Brianna Brown Keen. I am a professional actress, producer, author, speaker, CEO of 501c3 nonprofit in New Hollywood, an executive coach, mama, and wifey. And each episode, we will dive deep into how to amplify your life personally and professionally using Manifesting Your Mission process and alongside incredible experts. Why? Because I believe that when we are all living our purpose, our world will be a happier, healthier, more harmonious place. So let's dive in and create ripples of change together and have a lot of fun doing it.
I am so excited to have you, Kristen Crowley, on Manifesting Your Mission podcast. I adore you. I'm so grateful that our paths aligned because of our dear friend Tracy J. Edwards many years ago with your incredible business, which I'm not going to jump into yet because the most important question I'm going to ask you is, what are you drinking?
What are you drinking? So since you asked that question, it gave me an excuse. I spent 15 years as a bartender, so I am a very social cocktail person. So if there's ever an excuse for a cocktail, I am there. Even if I'm in my healthiest fitness phase, I am still cocktailing. So today's is somewhat healthy vodka. So a Chopin vodka, which is potato based. So for anybody who has any kind of gluten intolerances, go for Chopin. It's amazing because it's potato. You won't feel sick afterwards. And then I just did pineapple juice because that is healthy for me for lunch. Usually it's a margarita, so I can say it's usually margaritas, but this was like on the fly at home, so.
I love it. And I'm drinking some Java, so this is so fun.
Well, my fallback is an espresso martini, obviously, because I'm just
Yum.
basic, but that's okay.
Yum, 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 yum. Okay. So I like to start off with some things silly, like, what are you drinking? Which honestly, it's because I'm obsessed with drinking different liquids and I usually have like a million cups. So
I do too. Yeah, I do too.
Kind of a selfish thing. Like, I want to know. But I wanted to jump into your silver lining. So silver lining is something that we talk about in the Manifesting Your Mission guidebook. It is like reframing things that were hardships that we can look back in retrospect and say, oh, wow, that was actually a blessing and that helped really propel me. And so I would love to know for you, your silver lining.
So silver lining, and you said reFRAME. So reFRAME is the name of my business, which is so appropriate because even in that, I've reframed so many times and I've reframed so many times in life that I think, my silver linings were probably, I would say I'm going to be like, just go back to childhood of growing up, very, I don't want to say, but I mean, growing up on a farm and being, subjected to really hard manual labor and thinking that I was kind of stuck in a town or stuck in a situation. And then, realizing that all of that hard work and work ethic paid off in every single career I've ever had. So shoveling shit every day for most of my childhood really prepared me to deal with everything in life. So I never really thought of it that way then. I just thought I was being tortured as manual labor for a child. And that was definitely something that was a little bit, I found my silver lining in that, and then being underestimated. So all those careers I tended to take on were more masculine and I was always underestimated. So that was always something too that was my silver lining was, okay, underestimate me and let's see what happens.
Isn't it such great fuel?
It is. It totally is. I love it. Absolutely love it.
I love it when people have said like, oh, this person didn't respect me or this person, whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. I just have always used that as like rocket fuel to be like, you think this is going to suck or you don't think I'm good. Like the competitive part of me is like, all right, now I need to beat you. Or I need to beat the idea of what that's presented and like what a blessing.
Oh, I totally agree.
So, please explain your highlight reel, just like where you started off from and, where you've come from since.
All the journeys.
Just all of it. Just, in
all of it.
Sentences.
Yeah, it is really strange because I started out, obviously, I grew up on a farm. I worked in a lot of manual labor type jobs, which were more so, hardware, electrical, construction, growing up as a young teenager. And then I really loved fashion. So I went into fashion merchandising and I worked for, like Express, where you thought you were really cool with that side of it. I kind of got into that side of the world, went and got my degree in visual merchandising and store design, worked for Lord & Taylor, thought I was going to do that, as a career. That moved me from Michigan to Virginia. So I kind of went from a horse farm to kind of fashion and visual design, came here, didn't know anybody, kind of fell into the restaurant business, and then wound up being in the restaurant business as a bartender manager, opening restaurants for 15 years. always loved television. You always kind of love media, but I had a fear of public speaking. So I never thought I'd do it. One of my bar customers actually forced me into television and said, you can talk a lot. You look okay on camera. Let's go ahead and see if you can, bang out these commercials. And I was like, there's no way in hell I am doing any of this on, I don't want to get on TV. I'm petrified. And from that, landed a career in TV news as a news anchor. And from that, then developed a marketing company and a restaurant show and a podcast and everything else. So it was a really weird. So I always say, like, if you had to pick a book title for yourself, what would it be? And mine was kind of like From Behind the Bar to the Behind the Anchor Desk. So it's like a really weird, like, I like play on words. So I was like, well, it could be barn, bar, anchor. I don't know. There's a lot of things, but I didn't realize in that time, every one of those things set me out to be better at what I'm doing now.
Yeah. And what an interesting journey, because each one of those things seem completely unrelated.
Totally.
But the skill set, like you mentioned earlier, of just having grit and working hard,
much.
like what are those things for you that you really realize? Like, because going from bartending to being a news anchor, like people go to journalism school for that. Like that's a highly competitive career.
It is. And so I was kind of frowned upon, I guess, when I first came into the business, because I never went to college. I don't have a degree. I got schooling during high school. So I don't, I did a degree during high school because I was just one of those more creative kids. I wasn't good in a classroom. And I ended up, falling into the TV career through my bar customers, but it was just based on what you said, like the basics. Like my mom was very professional. She raised me to be very professional, being well-spoken, hardworking, all of those things play into any field. And I think because I am kind of the true Gemini. I adapt to anything and I learn everything so fast that I'm like, no, I can learn that. And don't just tell me what to do. I'll do it. And I got to a point, I was really late starting in television news because I was 28. That's late, and that in Hollywood, like the older you get, they're like, oh, you're out to pasture, like you're old and we don't want you anymore. So I ended up getting the job and having to learn in 5 days what people went to school for 4 years for. They gave me no training. They just said, you got the job. Everybody thought I got it just based 100% on the looks at the time. I had a little tight BB suit on back in the day and I showed up to my interview, looking cute. But they underestimated the fact of my capability to work and learn things. And I just learned literally everything exponentially in that business. I got into it not knowing what a VOSOT was or a VO or any of the terms. I knew nothing. And they just threw me on air live. They're like, have fun, hope you survive. And I think they thought I was going to sink or swim. And it was literally one of those things where I was petrified of public speaking. And I thought, if I'm going to do this at any point in my life, I have to do this now. I love media. I love television. I've always loved it, but I've always been too afraid to do it because of what people thought of me. So that was kind of the big change for me. It was like, okay, you're old enough, just do it. Just get it out of your system and maybe you'll be good at it. And I was in live television for 18 years.
Wow. And what was it about public speaking and what other people thought about you that that you were holding yourself back?
Oh, yeah. I think and I know public speaking is one of people's biggest fears. That is one of the top 2, 3 next to heights and everything else. Because I was an only child and I was raised on a farm, I didn't have a lot of friends. And because I tried so hard to make friends, I always wanted to be accepted. So I never wanted to say the wrong thing. I never wanted to, act wrong. And I got picked on a lot in my elementary to middle school years. So I got picked on quite a bit for the way I looked, the way I sounded. So it made me think there's no way I could ever be someone who would show up this way on television, but I had a strong mother as a role model. And she was just kind of like can you, and I can curse on here, right?
Yeah, you can curse. Of course.
Good. My mom is kind of a, fuck it person. Like, she's just like, she doesn't see anything that a woman can't do. She's very, very matter of fact. She's very inappropriate and she's very perverted in the way she talks, and it's hysterical. But she just, but I also felt overshadowed by her as a kid. So she kind of was always running the show and I just kind of sat back and I always just wanted to make everybody happy. So it was a weird transition for me to get into that and say, okay, you're not going to die. People are doing this all the time. They're surviving on TV. You can speak, you can do this. And I just literally, it was one of those exposure therapies. I had to do it over and over and over until I just didn't want to puke every day. It was not fun. It definitely was not easy. I understand when people say they're afraid to do it. I was literally terrified to the point where I just shook. on camera. You could see me shaking and it was petrifying. But I just got to a point in my life, I'm like, fuck it. At this point, I've been judged enough. I just want to do this because I know I'll enjoy it. And then I did enjoy it. So I'm very grateful that I pushed through the fear part of it and actually did it.
Right. It's similar to me. Like I was super picked on, and I don't know if you're bullied, but I was severely bullied when I was younger, and for similar reasons, just being a little odd or the way I looked.
We're
or
all odd.
whatever. I was a little odd. I had some social whatever. I had some social issues. But you know, I know that I did. I would stare.
We all do. We're all weird. Like I don't understand how you could say someone is more on the spectrum than the other, because we're all on the damn spectrum. We just have our level of weirdness and how well we hide it from other people. That's what's true.
Exactly. My mom could teach me how to like hide it early on, you know, and just whatever. That I learned later. But you mentioned being picked on because of the way you looked and the way you sounded. Now, coming from where you came from, I mean, you went on and you know you were rocking fitness, you know, fitness up. Like go into that because that's super daring for most people anyway.
Is it weird when you say I was less afraid of being pretty much half naked in front of people than I was to speak in front of people, which, you know, I was in front of a camera. Like I think we all go through the I want to pretend to be a model phase when we're in our teens because we think it's cool. And back when we had those magazines, it was like, you know, you had the Cosmo and you had all the magazines and you're like, I can look like that. And I loved Christy Turlington because she had horses and she wasn't traditionally like look like the rest of the models. And I had all that in my head where I was like, maybe that's a way that I can be confident or find attention. And I was always, you know, we all psychoanalyze ourselves. I can admit that now that I wanted attention. I wanted positive feedback. And I think we all go through those phases. And the fitness phase for me was when I was younger. My parents are both extremely athletic, so I was always around it. But my mom is like jacked. Like she's like the original Wonder Woman. Like she was an insane athlete. And I found it again in different ways. You know, once we got past our crazy ephedrine loaded days in the early 20s where we're like popping pills to stay skinny. When I got closer to 40, I realized that my body wasn't bouncing back from kids. It wasn't happening. And that's when I really, truly found weight training. And I have not done cardio in probably 15 years, really. I mean, I just lifted weights and then my body started to change. I became more confident. And then I just felt stronger than I ever had. And it was easier for me to literally be in a sports bra and a bikini bottom and not speak, just because at least I knew I could control that. Sometimes when you're younger, I mean, I was very awkward. I was called like AIDS patient and all these horrible names as a kid because I was tall and skinny, and then I had an eating disorder, so I got even skinnier. So it was a whole situation. And kids just, you know, kids always find a way to pick on something. And I wasn't, you know, strong enough to deal with that at that time. And now I realize it made me more compassionate and why I probably try and include everyone around me in everything because I don't want them to feel left out. I want them to feel noticed and seen. And so again, that was probably another silver lining that came out of the fact of being treated a certain way. You either adapt to that behavior or you switch that behavior and you decide to rewrite it. And I'm glad I rewrote that because I didn't become, you know, a mean girl. I just became even nicer. So thank you to the bitches in elementary school and middle school who teased me about the way I looked and everything else. So yeah, it's definitely, I think, but everybody goes through that. I don't think it's like unheard of at this point in our lives.
No, it's totally not unheard of, but not everyone does go through it or doesn't necessarily go through it to a certain degree.
To the level,
So,
yeah.
yeah. And I think, you know, it's interesting that for someone who was an only child who then went on to like wanting to be friends with everyone and, you know, becoming inclusive, and that you said wanting to be seen and, you know, and wanting to include everyone, that now you're doing that reframe. You're helping other people be seen more and helping them with their platform.
Yeah, I guess that is full circle, huh?
Right?
Drop the mic. You're good. It is really, you know, it is. I think that everyone deserves to feel that level of confidence or, you know, look at a photo of themselves and not think, you know, I think the misconception is when we do photo shoots or you are trying to dress up or look good, that you're doing it from a place of being conceited or, you know, trying to get extreme validation. It's really not. It's a confidence thing, and we all deserve to feel that way. So seeing people's reactions when, you know, they get to see themselves through someone else's lens and be like, wow, I really do look professional, or I really do look hot in this photo, or it makes me feel more like a woman, or whatever it may be. But I guess it's that and bartending makes me in tune to what people are kind of either feeling or not feeling. And we can play on that and say, okay, well, if you're not comfortable with this, we know how to make you comfortable. And the speaking part, I get. So I try and help coach people through that. It is hard. I mean, I know you've worked with on camera people who it takes them a long time to get natural and comfortable doing even your little Instagram videos about me. People will do those 50 times before they think it's right. And I'm just here. I'm like, listen, I went through all of that and I can tell you nobody gives a shit. Like, just say what you got to say, get it out there. And once you do, you've ripped the Band-Aid off and you can go through. And we have different kind of tips to help people with it. But yeah, I think I do. I love making people feel confident and powerful as a female, especially. And in the fitness space, they're always judged so much because they're only doing it because they look good or they only do it because of, whatever selfish reason. And most of the time it's not. It's a reason for external, something happened in their lives or a health reason or, but why don't they deserve to feel that way? So yeah, I guess in the business, we really shifted to that over time.
Yeah. Well, and we met because our friend Tracy J. Edward, who actually used to do fitness competitions, I remember she
Mhm.
was a roommate at one period of time. I remember watching her
So funny.
dwindle as she got just so tight and ripped. And she's always been in shape, but it was just so fun watching her do that before she competed. And then later over the years, she introduced me to you and I went and spoke at
Mhm.
one of your retreats and a few years ago now. And these ladies were all such badass women. And most of them were
Yeah.
in the fitness world. And a lot of them came from
Mhm.
either military backgrounds or married to military, which we'll get into because I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a connection with that with you. And just all these women that had these different businesses. And I would love to just kind of for those that don't know what reFRAME does, I think it's so incredible what you've created because it's a support system of let me help you run your business and get you seen and heard.
Yeah. I think a lot of people struggle with you need an outside, like I said, someone else to see through the lens because we tend to cloud our own judgment and, we always protect ourselves. So we're never going to make a lot of bold choices without someone else seeing it in us. And I mean, I denied it for, gosh, I would say probably 8 or 9 years of people, well, you should be doing TV or you should do, you should do this. And I was like, no fucking way. I'm not going on TV. I'm going to get made fun of. And I did get made fun of. I had horrible emails sent to the news station about me. But at that point, you just develop a really thick skin for it, or you get mentally stronger and say, okay, this person's hurt in some way in their life. It has nothing to do with me. And if they're not doing it to me, they're doing it to someone else. So I'm not that special. Trust me. I'm just happened to be there the day they were not feeling great. And that part, we try and show them. But yeah, with reFRAME, we really started to develop it in the fitness and wellness space because that's where I was going when I left TV. I was like, I'm just going to focus on these women because they deserve it. They're underserved as far as being treated as a business entity. And we just kind of started teaching them, the ins and outs of the brand, how to build their brand the right way. And we could see things about them they couldn't see. So it was nice to be able to create that. My partner, Jill, was in the fitness space as well. And, she fought MS and cancer and lost every sponsor known to man because her entire job was based on how she looked. And so she had to reframe literally her entire cognitive space because she had to create this whole new life and not be down on herself because she wasn't on a stage anymore. So we understood that. She's also a psychotherapist. So it helps our clients a lot when they get real brand therapy. But we just ended up, developing it to really keep them going, but also to prove that you don't have to show your ass in every photo to build a business online.
And if you do, have it be a good photo.
If it is,
honest.
just at least, if you're gonna have it, there's so many things in branding where, again, you go through those phases. And I think there's probably someone out there in each one of those phases right now. You're just starting out, so you want to build your audience. So you're posting the sexier photos, or you're really pushing that angle, but maybe you're a doctor. And why? Why are you doing that? So your brain is just as sexy. So we try and hone in on that. And then we create content that's a little bit more generic or evergreen for people because your business should be a long-term plan, not that 6 months or a year or the next course or the next mastermind or the next retreat, but it should be a 5-10 year plan. So we learned a lot. Being in all the businesses I've been in taught me a lot. And it's nice because I see these women and I'm like, okay, they're starting to finally get it. And when they stop looking at their phone every day and looking for the likes and whatever, and they actually focus on the business aspect. We're like, yes, we create pretty images. That's part of what we do. But the other part is you have to actually build a business. And I always use the line like, your brand is a business. And if you don't treat it like a business, you're going to fail. So
Mhm.
you're a business. Like, don't just put yourself out there in one dimension. Like, it has to be a multidimensional build. So, yeah, reFRAME became exactly what we didn't know it was going to be because we started just doing the retreats and then it turned into this entire marketing agency. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and what's so cool because, on the retreats, it's not just like, oh, let's just kumbaya and get away from everything. It's like, let's
Mm,
dive into our business. And then you curate for people to have content made with photos and hair and makeup and in an amazing location and all these things that,
yeah.
if someone doesn't have the ability or know-how or connections, that seems so daunting to be able to put
Hmm.
that all together and to produce that. And you guys do that,
Yeah.
multiple times a year, plus then giving business coaching really hands-on. I feel like a lot of the stuff now feels very course moduly, which is fun,
I
but
agree. Yeah.
most people don't have the ability to stay up with it or to really push
Mhm.
themselves. So the fact that you guys are so, I mean, apparently this is a commercial for you, but
We weren't planning on going down this route, but it is,
yeah,
I mean, it's important for women to understand that. Like, you can get ripped off very easily. And I do think there's, a lot of those businesses who prey on women just starting out and not understanding and saying, this is what you need, and this is what you need, and this will make you $100,000 in 90 days. And none of it's true. Post COVID, yes. I mean, we were living in a different world. Online was all you had. So, yes, it was successful. People were signing up for things. But now, because we've shifted back to reality
yeah,
in person, and people, we have an attention span of a gnat. So, literally, you have to be there to provide a solution for somebody. And just doing a cookie cutter of anything doesn't work anymore. And hands on, you're totally right. Like, I think a lot of people run these things saying, I can help you all change your life. And it's all these false promises. And I'm on the opposite motto of like under promise and over deliver because I've never lied to a person we've worked with. And I literally will tell my clients, they'll be like, I want to do that. I'm like, well, that's not going to happen. You're not going to grow 100,000 followers in, 6 months. Not going to happen anymore. And
yeah.
they get pissed off about it. And I'm like, well, then we're not the people that you want to work with. We focus on, you want to build a solid brand for yourself and again, be able to sleep at the end of the day and be proud of yourself. And in 5 years, still have a business. So it's changed a lot. I think we've done a good job of adapting, but I've also had the blessings of being able to do that, with my support system and everything else. So I can be a little more aggressive in that thinking process than some people who really do need to maybe, put dinner on the table that night and they're just going for the quickest fix that they can.
Right, which is a bigger problem altogether, right? Like,
Hmm.
it's like a bigger problem of, like, lack of planning or
Yeah.
what you've been doing that you're now looking for a gambling technique,
Pretty
essentially,
much, yeah.
right?
It makes me sad. It makes me really sad.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that's similar to, like, when I had someone who had used my guidebook and then started using some of the tools while they were doing speaking engagements, and I was like, "That's interesting," and then asked me to create and they're like, "Those things really worked," and I'm like, "Huh, I hope you gave me credit."
Yeah, thanks.
Interesting. But I remember him asking me to curate something for like, can it be 6 weeks? Could you make me something for 6 weeks? And I'm like, no,
No.
I love that idea. And I know it's super like catchy, like in 21 days. But it's like, that's not the reality. Like to
Mm-mm.
build something and create new habits and to be able to build a business or, whatever you're wanting to do, like
Yep.
dancing with resistance is not like oh, let me take this pill and I magically can levitate. It's just not.
It's weird. I hate seeing it, and I hate the snake oil salesman type thing. And again, this is again someone who is a news anchor. So anybody out there who's like, all you guys do is sensationalize headlines. I get it. Sometimes the tease is better than the story. That's how it's supposed to be. I'm sorry. But there are ways to still be, legitimate and deliver true results and true information and real solutions. That's one of the hardest things I had and in TV news too. I had a problem with sensationalizing a lot of headlines and saying those type of words. And for people who do have small businesses out there, like that's why your ads aren't working on Meta because Meta will flag anything that has a guarantee or a promise. So if you say you're going to make $100,000 in 90 days, you can't guarantee that. You're going to get sued because the first person who that doesn't happen to is going to take your ad and take you to court. So we have to kind of now retrain ourselves from that kind of mindset of COVID where everybody's like all this, but it did happen. Everybody made a lot of money really quickly on online courses and things that they wanted to do. But what I loved about your book when you brought it, I mean, you brought the whole journal to the retreat for the ladies, which was amazing. And it literally, I love the long-term plan of it because it's like you can't rewire your entire thinking in 21 days. It's not possible.
No.
And there's studies let's just go to the science of everything. Let's stop reading the headlines and do the science. Same with muscle. I mean, it took me a year to even put on a little bit of muscle. And I was leg pressing like 900 pounds, and I still could not put on a ton of muscle on my legs. So all the misconceptions online of how to do things really comes back to the science of it. Like, no, none of these things are going to happen. Just stay the course and you'll get there. Like it's really, and it's not sexy. I get it. It's not sexy to say those things, and people want sexy. They want quick fixes and the magic pill to make $1 million and have a great life. Like, I get it. I've fallen for it too. Trust me. Like, I can't say I didn't fall for that.
Right. Well, I think it's that idea of instant gratification versus the reality of like sacrifice strategy, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, you want to get really fit. Guess what? You're gonna have to be consistent, and that's
Yeah.
consistency.
It's boring. It's boring as shit. Like, I've done the same movements for 12 years. I don't ever deviate. I do the exact same workout twice a week, like heavy. That's all I do. I don't do anything else. I don't even change the movements. They're the same things. Like, they've been the same. And people just don't get it. It's really funny. The only thing I guess I change up a lot is my diet because I eat I love food. So I can't say that. And I like drinks. So I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll never be that lean again. I know that for sure.
It's more you don't want to have to do what it takes to do that.
No, it's not healthy. I mean, it's not. I got really sick doing it. So I think women need to understand that we're supposed to be happy and, not torture ourselves every day.
Exactly.
It's so funny.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think that also like your weight training journey really prepared, it's also a great tool of like, you just have to do the things like shoveling the shit. Like, you're on a farm, you gotta, what are you gonna do? It's not magically gonna go away. You have to do the things, even if you don't want to do them, and it has to be done consistently.
Yeah.
So I just love that you've taken all the different things that you do and then blended them into helping others. And, your heart obviously is really there because of what you've gone through. You're like, I want other people to elevate and reframe their life.
They need to. And that's been, I think, as, you do go through your phases in life, especially as, women, we strive to have these really strong relationships. And it's usually it is hard. And I think the good and bad of social media is that there are more connections being made now. That's the good side of it. The bad side is still people can find you and make you feel like shit in 2 seconds. And, we can have 99% of our positive thoughts a day. One bad thought comes in and it literally knocks out everything positive that you've felt all day. So it's sad how bad negativity weighs on us. And I know you talk about like you have to really see yourself in this positive position all the time. And I've just really learned that, I would say, in my 40s. Like, I'd say that's kind of the sweet spot for learning that. So you can't be hard on yourself for not being able to grasp that when you're 20, 30, because that's your growth phases of really understanding. And I love it now because I can actually look at those things and be like, okay, does it upset me? Yes. Is it true? No. So, I can't say that that's true. It's an opinion. I'm just going to move on. And I've gotten better at that. I mean, it's hard. I think I still get it. I mean, those news stories, God, people are absolutely horrible. I can't even, just what they said. And I know you've dealt with this in television, like the comments or the emails they'll send in just about, comments on your looks and your physical presence. And again, you look like a Las Vegas whore who's been, I got everything on the news where I'm like, where is this even coming from? I can't deal with this anymore. And I used to be I am a very confrontational person, but when you're under contract somewhere, you can't be. And you have to be like, okay, it's nice to meet you. Sure, you can hug me and great. I got to talk to these people and be nice when I really just want to punch them in the throat. Like, I'm like, I just really want to punch you in the throat right now. Like, I don't want to be nice to you. You're totally condescending. But that I did develop during those years on air. I developed such a tough skin to people just saying the meanest, nastiest things on the planet about your looks and your weight and your boobs. And I mean, I have big boobs, so that helped.
Well, I mean, I remember being on General Hospital and I played a villain, and some people couldn't see the difference between reality and, I don't know, acting. I wasn't a surgeon, let alone a thoracic surgeon. Like A, age-wise, it didn't make sense. B, I wasn't like muscly enough to like none of it made sense. Like I was in a coma and my hair and makeup was still fine. Do you know what I mean? Like none of this is real. None of it's real. And I just remember, especially when the heat of my storyline had someone, oh my God, I was on a fashion show in New York. And so you're like in a hoity-toity environment. And this woman, she was like dressed all like, put together. And she walks right up to me and she's like, "I don't like you." And she just like glared at me. And I just smiled.
Okay.
I smiled. I go, "Well, thank you."
Wow.
And
That
because
was
I was like, well, does
bold.
that mean I'm convincing, right? Like I'm gonna reframe that, right? Reframe.
You are a damn good actress. We know that, so it's fine.
Yeah. And I was like, "Thank you." And then she looked at me and she looked at me again and she's like, "I like you." It was so funny. I was like, or you're bipolar. I don't know, but I'm gonna take
be
it
that.
like you had this idea because you think you get to have a say in the thing. And also
Yeah.
I think we've like lost etiquette. Etiquette has just gone out the window as far
Yeah.
as like what's acceptable, what's not, just things that are like online where you would never say that at work. And if you did, you get fired.
Oh
We're
my
like,
God.
what, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Like, where did that
Yeah.
go? But it was just one of those things of like, you're hurting or you're sad. And I've joked in the past, like, I feel like I need to have like a list of activities or like things to put your energy toward that are better than wasting time online being a troll or being nasty. Like you've got more God-given gifts than this.
Yeah.
Like this is not utilizing what you're meant to be here for.
Or just go get laid. Like seriously, like come on, just go find something else to do. Something's pent up. We need to get you in a kickboxing class or something. Like
Yeah.
you need to just go release some energy somewhere because this negative pileup is causing some blockages. And I mean, I like to hit things. I'm not gonna lie. So I like that. So I like physical output. So I am obviously like, I guess you grow up on a farm. You have an untraditional way as an only child who was a girl and a dad who thought he was like Steven Seagal. I was raised to be much more physical than most girls were. So I was never afraid of that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I like this outlet. This is a good outlet for me. Or, again, I love restaurants. So I recharge off other people's energy. So I like going to places where everybody's upbeat and fun. So if I know, like, I will avoid events that are very somber or have those kind of energy people because I literally feed off of it. So if they feel crappy and negative, I'm going to feel more of that because I get empathetic. But I go to a great restaurant. I go with my amazing friends. Like, you're the same. Like, we've been blessed to have the same friends around for decades. And those are your people because they know you way back when there wasn't any cameras and there's no digital proof. And you could go have fun and be stupid and not worry about what people were recording of you or saying about you. And so I go with those people and I'm like, all right, girls trip. We're out 3 days. Let's book. Like I am one of those. I've come in these last couple of years where I'm like, you have to live your life and get away from the negativity and unplug. And my life's 100% online. I'm online managing like every client's account all day, every day. So I see all of it, and it is exhausting. So I understand people who can't handle it, why they get weighed down so much by it. But yeah, you have to disassociate a little bit and be like, I just got to go have fun with my friends and be a human again for a little bit and not worry what somebody's going to think about me. So
Yeah.
I've gotten better at that.
Yeah. Screen Zen, the app Screen Zen really helped me with my OCD of like,
Really?
yeah, that really, because I can limit, especially once I put it on block, right?
Wow. I don't know that one.
I can only do it for X amount of time. And then it blocked me. And I'm like, okay, I
Wow.
can circumvent it if I like really had to post something or it took longer or something.
Yeah.
I realized because of my, obsessiveness, which is such a blessing in the right direction and not
Yeah.
a blessing in the wrong direction. That was like needed because I couldn't with AI, I could get hooked into a thing or something where I'm like
Mhm.
so upset by this and I'm I mean, AI, it's got you. It's got you. I mean,
Oh,
this
it's ironic you said that because Jill just sent me a video yesterday. Because again, in marketing and online, AI will make your life easier in business in the next few years if you know how to use it correctly. So anyone who's in business, even if it is summarizing, like points or script, like there's a lot of great uses for it. She made a video and sent it to me, and I'm playing the video, and it took me a minute. And in the video, she's like, "Hi, this isn't me at all. I just programmed this online. So if you're still watching it, like, did this actually work? Let me know because this is not me. This is not me talking. This is me programming an AI version of myself to record videos in my kitchen." And it's literally her kitchen and her. I mean, it's 100% her. The only thing weird AI tricks you can still tell because the hands aren't perfect. So if you really watch the hands, you can tell that it's an AI video, but it's been coming out more and more online and people do get sucked into it. So I think having those kind of blocks or blocking that type of content, and you're supposed to disclose it online. So if you are posting on social media, Meta has integrated where you have to claim whether it's AI generated or not. Most people aren't going to do that, but it's scary that will control the world. But like you just said, your powers can be used for good or evil. So choose if you're going to use it in the right ways to create systems on your business that'll take stress off of you so you can go be a human and live a real life and enjoy your friends and not be online, addicted 24/7. I think my husband still he hates my job because he's like, "You're always on the damn phone." And I'm like, "It's literally my job." Literally. I'm sorry. I can't get off my phone. I mean, I try and keep it in certain
yeah.
hours of the day. But again, you said, like, I have clients that have stuff pop up late night. I have a client who was on Fox News Saturday night, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh shit, I need all this posted." So Saturday night, I'm like, just sitting there posting shit. So it's hard, easier said than done sometimes. But yes, I want to try that out because I need that in my
Yeah,
life.
Screen Zen.
Okay.
Also, for those of you that are not, like, especially as parents, the Netflix show Adolescence is really fascinating.
Really?
Yeah, it is incredible, especially about what we're
Uh,
doing to boys. It's
okay.
it's a blend of multiple true stories into one series, and the acting is phenomenal. The filmmaking is phenomenal. It's going to win like so much this
Oh
next
my
year.
gosh.
But it's called
Okay.
Adolescence, and it's definitely thought-provoking as to, like, what we're
Wow.
allowing because it's the Wild West. We're, like, putting children in the back of, the Volkswagen with the backward seat without seatbelts, and we're like, I didn't know these people were gonna get injured." And you're like, "Yeah, because you didn't have
Yeah.
regulations of, like, I don't know, a seatbelt. That wasn't a thing." And similarly, like,
Mm-mm.
what we're allowing with social media, these kids are just they're learning, we were learning as we go. And then
Yeah.
obviously the Netflix documentary, The Social Dilemma, for those that haven't seen that,
Yeah.
that's super necessary for all parents
In
specifically.
general. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. So just real quick before I jump into my long ass list of questions, which will
I love this. I don't prepare for this shit, so this should be entertaining.
I know, I love it. But I wanted to, because of what you see with business owners, what are some of the common mistakes that are like, oh my God, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this? Like, what are a handful of common mistakes that you really like advise against?
Yeah, I mean, the most common are spending money on things that really don't move the needle. So, spending $15,000 on a website is completely unnecessary when you don't even have a system to funnel a customer from point A to point B. You're really starting from the top. And then, so I always use the analogy of building our other business is construction. So it seems to work, is building a building. So you never build the penthouse before you build the basement. So you have to build the basement. The basement is the gritty, the dirty, the wiring, the systems that automate the entire building. It all sucks. It's not, like I said, the unsexy work. It sucks. Then you build the first floor where you're welcoming people in. Then you build your floors 2, 3, 4, whatever. Then you build your penthouse, which are your big shiny objects. And if you build the big shiny objects before you build the base and there's not any structure in between, the first thing that comes along is going to knock it down. And then you're going to spend all this money rebuilding it. Saving the money and allocating it to where you actually need to allocate as far as building a business from the ground up. Number one, first and foremost, plotting a customer journey. Point A to point B, where do you want them to go? What do you want to sell? Have you vetted that? Is it something that has a solution? Then you go through the nitty gritty, the LLCs, the insurance, the crap that you do not know how many clients we used to still have come to us who didn't even have there were trainers, didn't even have insurance or LLC set up. They were doing it on their social security number with no protection. I mean, this happens. It's more common than you think.
Yeah.
And to spend the $500 to $5,000 to build your business. And then the second is not knowing the costs. So most people go into it thinking I'm just going to make all this money, when in reality, most businesses don't make money until years 3, 4, and 5. Traditionally, if you run all the numbers and pro forma on any type of business, those first 2 years are building, investing, whatever. So if you're not willing to put in 10, 20, 100, 200, a million, 2 million into a business and not see anything come back, keep your day job. Don't just give up everything. And I think that was one of the things I hated most in marketing, were all these women saying, just throw everything to the wind and then you'll have the gusto to actually follow. I mean, yes, but you're going to be so stressed that you're probably going to make quick decisions again. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to cost yourself tens of thousands of dollars. And then, of course, vetting and finding valued people to help you build it. Because my other analogy is I feel like I'm like the third or fourth plastic surgeon on a bad boob job. Like they have literally one nipple's up here, one's down here. Then the next surgeon correct it and the mesh is over here and one boob's smaller than the other. And then, we're getting them when they're on boob job 3 or 4. And they're like, fix me. And it's like, oh my gosh, the damage is done. Did you do your homework? Did you ask the questions? Did they, were they giving you honest answers or just telling you what you wanted to hear? And those are the things that I see the biggest mistakes of, are falling for, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. And that's the hard part about starting a business. And I think we got that same delusional aspect over the last decade, that it's easy to start an online business. Is it easy? Technically, yes. You just buy an LLC and create a site on Squarespace. I mean, there's $350 and you have an online business, but is it a business? Because you don't know, there's no, booking systems, payment systems, any forms, take, tracks, all this crap. So yeah, I've seen a lot of mistakes and it makes me sad, but we all had to learn them. So it's better to, again, ask the right questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions, get referrals, talk to other people and see what they've done. And don't be afraid to invest the money in things that will actually make you look good, will actually make you look professional. So yeah, those are probably my top ones.
Yeah. And I've seen that too with different people. If I'm coaching someone who's an entrepreneur or even just with actors, and not realizing the way I was able to get ahead, because I'm similar. I was scrappy like you, and I had to figure out everything as I went and pay for it on my own. I don't come from money. And my parents told me to sink or swim at 19. So it wasn't like I was like, so I had to constantly reinvest in my business. I had to learn how to act. I didn't have the luxury of getting to go to conservatory, let alone confidence to do that.
Yeah.
What I've seen with most actors and with, entrepreneurs, similar to what you're saying, is that having to take bold, consistent action and investing in your business over and over and over and over again. And I know for myself, part of the secret sauce has always been A, personal development, but B, always reinvesting in myself. Constantly. And then what you mentioned is delegating out so you have a team. I see so many people where I'm like, you're not even posting on social media enough. You're not even what are you doing? You're not running a business. You're not even,
No.
You're having a hobby that's sort of a thing. And you can't get real results if you're not really doing it. So either choose not to do it or choose to really do it. And like you said, most people, whether, you do have to keep another stream of income unless you're living on hope and a prayer.
Honestly. Yeah. I mean, most people, I didn't leave TV. The only reason I was able to transition careers, which was kind of an unplanned transition, was because we had another company. Like my husband was military and then started a construction company. So we had a steady income, but that was a sacrifice to get to that. So, I learned through how he built his business. I was fortunate to have a passenger seat to that and see what the expectations would be. And then now that we deal with clients who have big brands, big podcasts, and we're seeing these clients we had that have podcasts that are, 9, 10 million downloads now. Insane. But they weren't that way until years 3, 4, and 5. So the first 2 years, they were doing the same thing everybody does. But the problem is, and in today's world in general, we talk about this on the restaurant show because the restaurant business is the same way right now. People just don't want to stick it out. But if you show up and just put in the effort, you are already so much higher above everyone else. And my business partner in the podcast, he is a very, we'll call him gung-ho kind of person who wants results instantly. And he's always been that way. He's a chef. He's very I seem to surround myself with those people. And I had to tell him, this is not going to take off for 2 years. Like, we have to say, this is how much we're willing to invest. And we had a serious conversation about that. Are you willing to invest $40,000, $50,000 to produce this show for a year, 2 years, and see where we get? Then we can do the things. And I think that's, I'm at a good place with that now. I wish more people would understand it because it makes you work harder and know that there is a goal. But yeah, I've that part is very difficult for people to understand, that it is not a quick turnaround anymore. It just sucks. Like, I wish it would happen fast too. Trust me, it's my bank account half the time. I would wish things would happen quick. But if you have the patience, if you show up just a little bit more than anyone else and stay consistent, you are going to be someone that gets noticed.
Yeah.
Because the rest will just give up and fall off. And that's like, okay, well, see you later. Like, you didn't hang on to the plane. So we're still going up and I don't know where you are now.
Yeah. And that's so true, like specifically with fitness, because you can actually physically see it. Like that you learned, you physically can see, like, if I just keep doing this plan and it's the right plan and you're not jumping from plan to plan or sprinting and falling, that's great. All right, I'm going to jump into my long ass list of questions because I love you and I could talk to you forever.
Okay, let's do it. This will be entertaining.
I know. So it'll be kind
of what happens.
What is the most inspiring place that you've ever traveled to?
Most inspiring place. I would have to say Greece. Well, no, okay, I have a list. Okay, Greece for the peacefulness and the way that they live life. Kauai and Hawaii because of just the pure serene nature and energy there. And Sedona because it's the only place I've ever been in the world where I've put my hands on the ground and felt the earth, like felt the energy. So those are, I would say I have 3 transformed places to travel.
Oh my gosh. I feel like you need to do retreats there.
I should. Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah. I feel like you just had a retreat.
Who wants to join us? Just send her a message. We'll create a special retreat for just this. Okay.
Sedona retreat, the Hawaii retreat.
Photo shoots. Yeah, I'm totally down for that.
I'm in. Okay. What's a recipe that you love and why?
So my recipes vary because I spent 15 years in the restaurant business, and with the fitness side, I have so many recipes, but I really eat red meat and potatoes every day. I'm such a Midwesterner. It's sad. So I love steak and I love potatoes, but I think, God, I don't even know. I know you had me fill out some of these, but I have so many recipes that I love that are easy. My gosh, what did I say? Which one did I use? Because I'm like, I had so many.
How do you make your steak? Is there a special marinade or a spice?
So tips for steak to make the best steak. You have to leave it out for 30 to 45 minutes before you cook it. So you should always have your meat at room temperature when you cook it. So that is something that most people don't understand. So you always do that, and you don't put the salt on. You put the salt on just a bit before you cook it to sweat it and get some of that like juice coming out. There is no blood in a steak. That is not blood. Please stop saying it. So it's just the proteins. That's the way the proteins cook off. And I always just sear the shit out of it with butter and salt and pepper. And I'm such a simplistic person. So that's really it. I can't say I like whole food, real foods. I don't skimp on anything if it's a real food. So that's my favorite way to make meat.
And is that true for all protein, all meat? Or just steak?
No, you typically, it is true for most pork. It is not as true for fish or chicken. But if you want it to cook more evenly, bringing it closer to room temperature is always better, and always letting it rest for 5 minutes or so after you cook it allows the proteins to relax again and release the juice. So you get some of the juice.
And that's before you cut it, right?
Before you cut into it. Do not cut into it yet. Just say it.
I love cooking. I did not. I had an adversary relationship with food, as an actress. So it's a finding of self
You
and
relearning it?
yeah. And so part of, the journey of like enjoying life and manifesting your mission is
Yeah.
like, we gotta enjoy what you're eating multiple times a day. Let's do this right.
I mean, it's and all the proteins perform the same, guys. Like, it's not like eating chicken and broccoli is going to make you skinny. You can eat filet and asparagus or different vegetables. They all have different compounds. They all work differently. Let's get over that. So stop it.
What is your favorite inspirational song and why?
Oh my gosh. So I am so ratchet. My friends hate me. They don't let me do the playlist at parties because I am so ratchet. Like, I am I love all music. I love country music. I love classical music. I love rock, but I love Cardi B. And my inspirational song is Bodak Yellow, which is the red bottom. Like, yeah. So that's my song that inspires me. Anytime I feel crappy or not like a badass, I put that song on. And I just go into the whole like you can't me if you wanted to. These expensive, these is red bottoms, and I do that's my whole thing. So
God, I want to go dancing with you. That's so fun. So fun.
I'm so ratchet. I love it.
Great. It'll be in the inspirational playlist. That'll be in the show notes.
They're going to be like, what the heck?
So fun. So fun. Okay, so what's a book that really that you're like, that book really was transformative for me?
I have so many. I mean, I love all of them. And honestly, I'm more of an online and magazine person. I always have been. So I like short form articles, which is hard for me to pick a book because I am a person that's like into it. But I love certain ones more so real stories or real information. So I'm not I like that type. So Gabrielle Lyon wrote the Forever Strong book, which was transformative for anybody who's in the fitness space. Like, I'm just talking about protein, of how essential it is and how literally skeletal muscle is the longevity muscle. It's the organ of longevity. And it's how we've seen like grip strength and leg strength. People who live longer are people who have those qualities. So stop focusing on the nitty gritty and focus on the basics of being strong, just essentially strong. So that's probably one of my favorites. And Jason Redman, who is a Navy SEAL, who is a friend of mine and I also work with. So it's not like, it's just, I love his books. But he had the Trident, which he wrote after he got shot in the face. And it was a book all about his failures. It wasn't a book about success. It was a book, he has that and a book called Overcome. And I love both of them because they're actual stories of failure. They're not the feel good stories. They're just, you're going to fail. And you have a choice when you fail to either run with it and become the most elite version of yourself, or you have the choice to just be a failure. And he chose to overcome a lot of it. And so he has those, and those are probably two that I think are, really good for people to read if they're not in a great place, especially the Trident. Even though it is a military book, I think a lot of people can relate to it, even if they're not in that community.
Yeah. Well, my husband's in a men's group, and one of the books they read is called Extreme Ownership, which is also by
Jocko's.
Yeah, which is
I love him. He's one of my husband's friends too. I love him too.
Well, please tell him I love him, but I specifically love the audiobook because you hear their gruff voices and they're like,
he sounds like Batman. I'm like, can we not sound like, hi, I'm Batman, like all the time? I'm like, you sound like Batman.
Yeah, I love it.
He is a really great guy though. I love him.
I love it. I love that book.
That's funny.
And then similarly, like Dr. Edith Edgar, who is a psychologist who also was a Holocaust survivor, she has two called The Choice and the Gift. And so it's like, I agree, those books where you're like, oh my God, that person went through hell. Yeah. And then how have they been able to reframe it, their mission, whatever, right? Like,
how can you do all these taglines? They can. But it just shows the power of the human spirit and what we are capable of. We're not what happens to us by any means. That is not the definitive answer.
No. And that's such a cool thing. Well, what is a quote? I'm a big quote person, and I have been since I was little. Is there a quote that you love?
Yes. So my quote that I live by was a quote that my mom put over the door in an 8x10 frame with an ugly printed out, from the printer back in the 80s. is that literally said you can't build a reputation on what you're going to do. So there is no reputation built on what you're thinking and dreaming about. You have to do the thing. And your reputation is based on your actions and how you show up and how you treat people and how you work and how you make the world a better place. So I have literally lived by that because I saw it every day before I walked out into the barn for my entire childhood. So it literally has seared itself into my brain. So yeah, you can't build a reputation on what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you and your husband, because I know you have children, do you, I mean, you probably don't make them shovel shit the way you had to, but like they're, but with your backgrounds, right? Of
Yeah.
like, there must be some real like, all right, let's some good.
I'm not a gentle parent. Let's just put that out there. And my husband was Navy SEAL, so we are not, the combo of us both are not gentle parents. And I don't want to say it's like fuck your emotions because we care about emotions, but we're the parents that are like, okay, like if I give them a choice. You have a choice. Your choice is it can be easier and you do the things you're supposed to do to make the house better, do your chores. I don't want to tell you again. Or you have the choice of the alternate, and the alternate is not going to be fun. So the alternate is I'm going to put you outside in the middle of winter and put a hose on you. And you're going to sit out there for 10 minutes in the cold. Like I do believe in like actually building up perseverance and strength and grit. So, or it's, you're going to go do 20 push-ups or you're going to go run or you're going to do whatever the alternative is. It's going to not be pleasant.
Right.
And I say this growing up as a horse trainer's daughter, kids learn like animals. So you have to give them an alternative. If you don't do this thing, your life's going to get real uncomfortable. But if you do this thing, it's going to be a lot easier. So let's make the right choice in the matter and be supportive of the family. So I can say as a parent, I am so blessed. I have never, ever, ever had to ask my kids more than once to do anything. Like I literally, I'm like, get out of bed. I don't even wake them up anymore. I haven't had to wake my kids up in 4 or 5 years. Like they just get up. I don't go in there. I'm like, because if you're late, I'm not helping you. Like you can suck it up. Like you're going to miss school. You're going to get in trouble. It's not my problem. And so I'm a very matter of fact parent. So I think that parlays into how they are. So I can't give them the struggles I had physically with manual labor, but I can at least make them mentally tougher to deal with today's world and what they're going to deal with. So yeah, it's a little abstract. Plus we have a fight room in the garage. So if you ever get angry with, you just go out and put gloves on and everybody can just do Muay Thai and beat each other up.
Oh my goodness. You're like, all right, we're going to work it out. You're like,
Everybody work it out.
Dad's going to win, but
we know Dad's going to win, but that's fine. Like he's the most trained out of all of us, but we can, it makes us tougher mentally. And, again, like you said, like just having confidence, it builds your confidence to know that you're a stronger human. And strength is in a lot of ways, not just physical, but the physical helps. It makes you healthy. It makes you feel strong. And yeah, my daughter is very much, she's a very strong human and she's only 17. So that's pretty cool.
That's so cool. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's such an interesting thing because there is such coddling and enabling and thinking that life is easy or thinking that like the way we have it here is like what it's like everywhere else around the world. You're like, oh, no. There's like Handmaid's Tale happening in the world, like for hundreds of people. Like, do you not realize the luxury of us to have the ability to speak or get educated or whatever
100%.
is we're so lucky. And to teach our children, like, you got to understand, like, it's not the same everywhere. And obviously your husband, having been where he's been and done what he's done, he sees, he's
seen the worst of a lot of countries and what they do to women, children. And I work with a women's shelter that is technically started out as basically just domestic violence, but has literally, due to the need, grown into a trafficking center. And they only focus on our one city in our 7 cities. They only focus on one. That's all they can handle because there's so many cases. And you think of Virginia Beach, Virginia as this beautiful spot. They literally, the first year, they got a grant for, I think, to help 8 or 9 people. And I think they ended up helping like 70 something. And most of them were, 15 to 17, a lot of pregnancies and trafficking issues and things of that nature. And so I am very blunt with my kids. I'm very direct. They know everything that's going on. I don't shelter them from anything. I mean, my son literally will ask me, we have issues. I know you have it being on TV with stalkers and people who take things too far. And, they he'll ask me. He's like, "Is that crazy lady gonna come to our house? Do I need to call the cops like tonight?" Or, like they ask me very adult questions and I answer them in a very adult way because I think your kids are a lot smarter than you give them credit for. And you don't need to shelter them. You need to say, you are fortunate, you're blessed. Let's take advantage of your life. And both of my kids are heavily involved in charities, helping, either with autism or, my daughter's more passionate about that side. So yeah, they both give back a ton. And I think it's important for your kids to be exposed to
Yeah.
reality and not shelter them.
That's so great with the human trafficking because obviously, I mean, anytime you go to a major airport, there's signs everywhere. I mean, this is a
Everywhere.
huge issue in our
Yeah,
culture and also partially because of our porn industry and what's being
it
allowed.
is.
A lot of
Yes.
these kids are being
Hmm.
put into that and
Yep.
what's happening. And it's really, because it's so normalized. And now like
Yeah.
these poor children and women and men are being put in these predicaments because they come from nothing or because they were stolen or because of whatever the circumstances.
Or
And
their family sold them. I mean, most of the cases are internal, so most of the cases come from inside the family. It's not someone who's found them, and that's a majority. But there is one of my friends. If anybody wants to dive into more of the like world side of it, Alana Stott, Stott, and she is an absolutely incredible human. I mean, she's literally been given awards by the royal family. She is incredible in the work that she does in that world. So if anybody ever wants resources or is passionate about that as a charity, so yeah, Alana Stott, and she's just absolutely incredible. And she did create a 501c3 for that. And she helps other trafficking charities all around the world. So she has like every resource known to man. Her husband was a special ops guy. He's an incredible human as well, but she's someone in the women, like in the community, who has truly dedicated her life to fighting for people. And she's just the kindest, most badass soul on the planet because she's also, a protection, like she does security, and she's incredible. But I've learned a lot from her, and I've learned a lot locally. So yeah, so I don't sugarcoat. I think that that's something in our society that parents need to say, and our kids obviously are able to go to a better school now, and it's not reality to me. So we were staying at a condo that had multiple shootings in the neighborhood while we were staying there. So we had to walk them through literal crime scenes. And I just laughed and I'm like, okay, kids, I'm like, here is reality. And, I'm like, just keep your head on a swivel. Let's move. And, they kind of were like, huh, like you can see their faces, but I'm like, this is what people deal with every day, in the world where they're not fortunate or have access to things or dealing with any kind of like socioeconomic disparities and things like that. So yeah, no, I'm very, very blunt with my kids, probably too much, but it's fine. They're fine. Everything is fine.
yeah. Well, to be able to focus on how much gratitude you have for,
Yeah.
to have what you have and then how you can help others. Yeah, I know Free the Slaves. Free the Slaves is an organization that I think connects a lot of different human trafficking
Okay.
nonprofits as well.
Oh, wow.
My nonprofit helped them out years ago. So
That's amazing.
anyway, is there a on that light note,
I know.
is there a documentary that you love? I know you've seen so many different stories being on the news.
I know. I don't like there's not like one that I just stands out because I watch like I'm like you, I absorb them all the time and my brain just churns. So I've covered so many stories from animals to like, Navy SEALs who fought cancer and lost legs. And then I don't know. I have so many things that I've been either a part of or watched. It literally is probably the hardest question for me to answer. And I hate saying that. Like, I don't know what document. I don't. I really, truly don't.
You don't need to say it then. Are there any other causes that you really champion?
Anything SPCA or animal related, like growing up on a farm, I'm a huge animal advocate, so I work with that a lot. I work with an autism foundation locally. My son is high functioning, so I'm very much into that world of, that. And I love that world because it's fascinating to me because I think everyone is so brilliant and I love seeing what the mind can do. So I don't look at it as a, negative thing. So I enjoy being around that group. I work with Samaritan House, which is our local charity that does the trafficking and domestic violence. I've worked with the Red Cross. I've worked with St. Jude. I've emceed events for Lift Foundation, which is a local fitness charity that gives back to people in shelters, teaching them how to work out, which is shocking. How many people, when they learn how to work out and eat right, can get off drugs? It's
Yep.
amazing. So yeah, there's so again, I was very fortunate in the news business to work with amazing charities. And now that I'm not in that business anymore, I donate my time to MC their events. So you know, I've just MC'd all these events, and some of them are heavy, some of them are lighter, but they're all for amazing causes. So that's probably, I don't know. I think everybody should at least have one or two things that they devote, if not money, time. You don't have to always give money. You can always give time, go sort things at a shelter, or, just help for a day. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Have you
Yeah.
heard of the telepathy tapes, the podcast?
I've heard of it. I have not listened. You're the second person to bring that up this month, and I have not heard that yet.
Yeah, I think you'll love it. You should definitely check it
Okay.
out. It's
Okay,
fascinating.
now I have to, because this is the second time I've heard it. So
I'm a big believer in the same thing. If I hear multiple times, I'm like, all right, that's on the
I'm
list.
supposed to listen to this. Okay, got it.
And then who else is a mentor or influencer for you?
100% my mom. She is just the epitome of the I don't know. I don't even know what to really classify her as, because she's 75 and she still works full time, and was this just amazingly beautiful woman, but she was also the toughest human I've ever met in my life. She also was very chauvinistic towards men, and she taught me at a very young age, she's like, there's nothing that you can't do. And I took that into being a parent with my kids. I think that parents, when you're telling your kids, be careful or don't do that, it's limiting them in a sense. My mom, I never had that. She was like, literally at 15, 14, I started driving on the road because we lived on a farm. And she's like, if there's an emergency, you need to know how to drive. She would give me a 42-foot horse trailer at 16 and be like, call your own ass to shows because I'm too busy. And there was never a, be careful, here's how to do it. It was figure it out. You'll figure it out. You're fine. There's people much dumber than you that can do this. You can figure it out. And if I broke something, I had to repair it, which meant tools, hardware store, cutting logs, whatever. She never helped me. And I think that sometimes people are like, oh, that's traumatic when I'm like, honestly, with my child, when I taught her to drive, I just got in, buckled up, and I was like, go. And she's like, are you going to tell me anything? I'm like, no, you're smart. You can do it. You've watched me do it your whole life. And she is literally the best driver because I just had faith in her. I was like, you're not going to mess up. You're not going to hit anybody. I'm like, you're smart. Like, I think that my mom taught me to really just know that humans are capable than more than they think. And you have to stop putting limited words, because that we believe those limiting words. Like when you say, don't do that, you might hurt yourself, like that instills a limiting belief. And I never had that as a child. It was like, you might lose a limb, but you'll be fine. You'll learn something from it. So I've adapted that into my life. And I think that she's worked her ass off. She's made her own business. She lost everything. She rebuilt it again. So she's probably, my own real life. Like I don't really glamorize athletes, or I've never been that type of person. I'm like, they're just all human. Every human just has a maybe more well-known than the other, but everybody has something exceptional that they've done in their life. So I'm very fortunate that she pushed me to be as strong as I am. So that I'm grateful for.
Well, it sounds like what she did is she consistently made you uncomfortable. And so you weren't afraid of being
Or hurt. I have a very high pain tolerance.
right.
She's like, no, you're fine. You'll be fine. You got run over by a tractor. You're fine. Like, I'm not taking you to the doctor. Suck it up.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
We had fun on the farm. Trust me.
Yeah. Oh my God. And then what advice would you give your younger self?
To stop waiting and stop giving a fuck what other people think about you.
Yeah.
Because that held me back from so much. I could have been so much further in my career. I could have done so much more if I had stopped worrying about what people thought of me. Because to be 100% honest, people don't care.
No.
You're in their brain for a second, you're gone. You're not, so sitting there and like saying all these negative, it's not true. Just do it. I mean, everybody's going to mess up. So, so if I could do it, I'd just be like, stop being so fucking afraid. Like, just do it. Like, just suck it up and do it. And you're going to be fine. You're not going to die. Like, just go, just do the thing and you'll get over it. And I wish I would have done that sooner in life. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what activity did you do when you were younger that other people would be surprised by?
Oh, obviously I grew up, on a horse farm. So I did learn how to vault as a kid. I don't know if you know what vaulting is on horses. So I learned to do that, which is basically the people in the circus who stand up and ride, or they flip off the horses, or they do the around the world stuff. So I learned to do that, and I really thought at age 15 I was going to join the circus. I don't know why I thought that. But also, I also ride motorcycles and shoot. So I'm not a very typical female. So I guess a lot of people are always surprised, or they're surprised now in my life to hear that I am a total redneck because I present as a professional TV businesswoman. And they're like, there's no way you're a redneck. I'm like, have you seen my truck? Like, nobody knows. So there's a lot of surprises, but I think that's a fun part of us being adults is people don't know your whole story.
No.
Yeah, it's
No.
fun. You can kind of like sprinkle it out there.
Well, it seems like when you're younger, you knew you wanted to perform.
I was just too afraid to do it. So I wish I would have had the balls back then to do what I do now. But I have instilled it in my daughter, who is literally everything that I should have been at that age. She has no fear. And I think that's the blessing as we try and make our next generation better than us. And she's just a powerhouse and she doesn't take shit from anybody. And I love it. Like, yeah, her boyfriends are all afraid of her. I'm like, you go, girl, go ahead.
Yeah. You're like,
Yeah.
well, they should be because she practices Muay Thai at home with her dad, who's a Navy SEAL, former Navy SEAL.
That too. I mean, that too. Yeah, we're a very abstract family. Trust me, parent-teacher conferences are really entertaining. They're like, he keeps talking about guns, and I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, is that not normal? Like, I'm sorry. So we live a different life. I get it. But we live a fun life, and we live a life that, we've lost a lot of our friends and family through the military and have seen how your life can end quickly. So we just enjoy our lives. And I've stopped asking again. You start asking for forgiveness instead of permission. I'm there.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Well, because like you said, it's, people have this idea that their life is like everyone else should live this life, or this is the life that everyone has. And that's
Yep.
not true if you're a military family. That's not true if
No.
you live in different parts of the world. Like,
Nope.
we all have very different realities. The documentary Babies, which has no words and it just shows raising children in like literally
Oh
different
my
parts of
gosh.
the world.
Yeah.
And it's so fascinating, like, of what's normal. If
Yeah.
anything, in San Francisco, it seems so odd that they're like
Yeah.
inside under fluorescent lights being like, the sun and the moon, and they're doing all this stuff. And then you're in Africa when this kid has is by his mom with a machete, And
Yeah,
there's
a year
goats
old.
coming up to him. I'm like, what is normal?
But again, like looking at it like animals, when I say like training animals, like you say a breed of dog should behave this way. Well, no, that's not true because everybody has a slightly different personality. So if we were all exactly the same like robots, the world would be a very boring place and there would be no individuality and we wouldn't have all these amazing things we have because of our differences. And if you look closely enough at the differences, you find the similarities because deep down, we all are the same type. We're all human and we love the same things. We want to be seen. We want to be loved, accepted. So I never fault anyone for their choices because they did what they had to do. But if you treat me that way, I'm going to treat you that way. So I'm a big rule of reciprocity person. And my friend group is very eclectic. I mean, I have friends in every walk of life and every stage of life and everything that you could imagine. Why would you be friends with that person? I'm like, because they've always been good to me.
Yeah.
So I think if we adopt that, like that's kind of the fun part of the human experience is learning that we aren't supposed to be the same. But if you look close enough, you will find something in common with every single person that you're pissed off at.
Yeah. Except maybe a serial killer. But like, yeah, other than like that, like,
But they may also like pasta. So
They
you don't
might
know.
like
I mean, there's still a common.
I want
I'm
to give a
just
little grace for that. But the thing is, I'm like, but I do think that it is important to listen to learn for people that
Yeah.
are differences. Like if we listen and we learn and we understand where someone comes from, and if we were
Yeah.
in those circumstances, we would probably be similar. So I agree. We have so much more in common than not. I think the healing of the world right now requires us to have a lot more difficult conversations with a lot more love and thoughtfulness
Yeah.
and less being right, needing to be right.
Patience, compassion,
Yeah.
understanding, all the things, and knowing that there's not one right answer. There's 3 sides to every story. So let's not just go with the first one.
Yeah.
So that's a
I-
journalism thing.
I was like, really, that's the like, if it bleeds, it leads. Like, what's really happening?
Yeah. What's really going on?
Really happening. Oh, this was so awesome. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. You're such a beast and gorgeous and
thanks.
a force. And I'm so grateful to know you.
Well, I am grateful for having you, like getting to talk to you or even having me on here at this point. So, yeah, I love all of it. I love you. You're doing amazing things. I brag about you all the time because obviously, you're in like the show that's supposed to be in our area. So I'm always bragging about you here. And I'm like, this is my amazing, gorgeous friend. Look at her. She's amazing. And so it is funny how much like people come up in conversations and you're like, oh, maybe I did manifest talking to you again because I've been talking about you so much for the past year. So it works. It really works.
You manifested
It
it.
totally works.
Thank you for tuning in to another empowering episode of Manifesting Your Mission. If today's insight resonated with you, be sure to subscribe and share your thoughts with a review. Tag me on Instagram at Brianna Brown Keen, as I would love to hear from you. If you are ready to turn up the dial on your journey, dive deeper with my guidebook, or explore personalized coaching options or my annual retreat, visit manifestingyourmission.org for more details. Remember, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Brianna Brown Keen. Together, we can rise higher, shine brighter, and give back. I'm Brianna Brown Keen, and this is Manifesting Your Mission. Until next time, keep believing in your dreams and living your purpose.